Upon first glance at the exposure sheet, it looks like a big monster, especially if you're not used to traditional animation. An exposure sheet is used by animators to show what's happening on each frame of the animation. As you see by these numbers here, we are on frame 1, and this element is currently what we're looking at. Now, if I click on frame 10 or cell 10, look what happens in the timeline. It jumps to frame 10 because this ocean continues on that frame. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to click here on frame 92, and look what happens. We don't see anything. Why is that? Because there are only 90 frames in this animation. Hence, the exposure or the ability to see that object is no longer relevant. We don't see anything because there's no exposure of that element. So if I click on 90, now we see something. Think of an exposure this way. You go outside and you expose yourself to the great outdoors. You're looking at it. But if you close the door again, you can no longer see the great outdoors. You're back in your house. So your exposure of that scene is gone. The same thing happens here. If you don't see it, it's blank. And if you do see it, it appears in your camera view. So I hope that helps to explain what this does here. Another cool thing about the exposure sheet is that you don't have to look at these lines here. If you want to see the actual thumbnails of what's happening, just go to the contextual menu and choose to view thumbnails. Now, I personally prefer to work this way so I can see what's happening. I can see the different eyes or the different ships or the different waves that I'm using for my scene, and I can tell what's happening on each frame more easily. The exposure sheet is very important for you to use when you're animating because it can help you to get your timing down so you can see what's happening, and you can correspond what's happening in your exposure sheet with your timeline once you get the hang of it.